Well, this is the demo, so everyone should watch this demo to see what you would be building.
Okay, so this is a pre-planned failure. So this fails because of cores missing access control allowed origin header. So this is because the mock service doesn't send back the correct header to allow for cross origin resource sharing. The trick around that is to define the correct header in your YAML service.
It does seem to work out of the box if you're using like Postman or something like that, though. If you're not calling
Postman,
it
yes, as long as you're not doing JavaScript or running it out. Yeah.
Internet Explorer isn't carried.
No?
Internet Explorer
What's
doesn't care
Internet
about
Explorer?
security.
Yeah, I've seen cores work in Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome block it.
I am.
Who knew I do respect privacy or security?
It's one of the few things that works in IE.
So So I just added those in really super fast. And now I'm going to open it back up again. And we have examples. So this is running directly from the mocking service on our two calls we just defined.
So you're passing in the event ID.
Yeah. So yeah, list events shows I've got three events in here, and that's demoing the first call, the list all events, and then this is making the call for details on the particular event. And it's making that call to the service. The RAML file defined the example response, so the mocking service sends that right back. There's no back-end business logic whatsoever.
So just to make that clear, no database. Right? This is just all sample responses that are put into the RAML file, and you don't need to set up a server anywhere to do that, because all of this is provided as a service. So pretty darn easy once you know how to use the tool.
And let me add that there's more features in RAML. You can start doing you can add in your schemas, you can add default values, you can add all kinds of constraints and validation for your query parameters, your responses, your requests. And these are like additional kind of glue code services beyond just this mocking aspect. So what this Osprey we're going to get into in a minute does basically is it's basically the mocking service, which includes all those features I just mentioned about validation and all of that. But the thing that it adds is the ability to punch out the example and replace it with your own implementation. So you end up with all the glue code for free, and you just fill in your implementation of the specified API.
So when you talk about validation, you talk about just in like query parameters, you also talk about say posts.
You can give it XML schemas, you can give it JSON schemas for your post user data. I have an example of that. It's in the sample code. You can do form posts. It's got a lot of stuff.
If we're talking about Osprey because it deals with Node, how does it differ from like Express?
It's
Because
built
Express
on top of Express.
is it? Okay.
So it
So So with Express, you can define
It's
all
the
your
RAML
routes.
component added to Express.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Cool. So now, do we want to show them right now how they can use the mock service with Notebook?
Notebook, okay.
Yeah. So just to kind of round out this part of the workshop, what we want to show you is have you actually go through this process of setting up a service yourself, and then you can query it with the code that we gave you. You can use that code yourself, or you can also use Notebook. So there's two ways to try something out, the API out, through the mock service. You're given the endpoint, and obviously code can call that endpoint, and our code will do that. But the Notebook will also call it. It's sort of a playground for calling APIs. So why don't you show them that?
Okay, so I need to introduce this idea of a portal. So this development process we were speaking about before, where you have sort of an open period of time where you're evolving your API, and you have your front end people testing out their use case, how they want to use your API. Maybe it's just your dev team, the portion of your dev team you have working on the front end using your API, or business partners or whatever. You want sort of a central communication point to have people go to report problems they're having, or to just communicate the changes you're bringing in on the next development iteration. So that's, they have just a basic portal integrated into this tool chain here. And I'm going to demo it. So where's the steps for that? Okay. In this steps document, there's steps here to get to the portal, and I'm discussing the portal right now just because it's got a link directly into this notebook tool, and the point of the notebook tool is to let you test out business logic for integrating different APIs together. If you're doing like a mashup functionality, where you're taking data from one API and using it in another. So it's just a JavaScript sandbox that has a RAML client generated. It generates a RAML client for you with kind of IDE quick tips on the calls embedded in your API. So you can, as you type, it'll give you hints as to what calls are coded into your API. So from this portal, there's steps in it. I'm gonna go a little faster. So you come through the portal, and there's a linked notebook to the portal, so you can.
So this is like the API portal, so everything on there is about API. So I'm going to say use the notebook, with that API.
I don't see these connect buttons on the top. They appear on the connect buttons. I don't see those.
Yeah, I was going a little faster. The detail, there's specific steps in that document.
So what,
From the designer, if you have to say, if you've been going along and you have a RAML document, you have to save it, and a button pops up to connect it to a portal. And you go to that portal, or you have to connect the RAML document to the portal so that it knows.
So connect is the option of publishing your designer to the portal, right? So it takes your API from the designer and publishes into the portal. So you can browse through your browse through your API.
Yeah, I was there saying this. Okay. Those are good names.
Let me demo here and, so this first line here, generates the client code from the RAML documents. And the two parameters here, this is like the name of the object that's output. And this is the path to the RAML file. And you hit enter, and it saves it to a variable here. And what I have now in the JavaScript sandbox is a new object called event demo. And is this too small?
Yeah, so just talk about it, we'll talk through it.
So it's stubbing out the resource that I defined in my RAML file here. And here I've got
Yeah, and I hate to slow it, but I kind of lost what you're doing.
Yeah, let me just try to explain at a high level. It automatically creates this for you, which basically says, okay, you're connecting me to this RAML document, the notebook. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that RAML document, and I'm gonna go ahead and set up the first line, which is, let's read that RAML document and generate the client library. So that's what this first step does. It actually says, I need to call the service. I can't call the service unless I have a client library. And that's what it does. And once it has the client library, it sets this variable equal to it, and now you're basically using, in Microsoft world, IntelliSense to just automatically get the commands that that RAML document has enabled or described, right?
Okay, yeah, okay, my way of saying it, I almost want to say include, but that's a little language. You've imported the definition.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like how Java beans were designed to have IDEs really nicely displayed with that. So this is IntelliSense basically like suggesting that you need a query parameter or you want to invoke a specific resource method.
Okay, cool, and then just procedurally, how did you get from, like when you first bring it up, it just shows that one little window with that pull in and then,
Here or here?
no, the notebook.
Okay.
You're on the notebook and
Yep.
you've got more things than my notebook has. My notebook just starts with 2 lines.
This one here? You see?
Yeah, those 2 lines. And
Just hit enter.
Hit enter.
just hit enter on something.
There's a play button here that'll do it too.
Okay, oh. Well, I got a 404 when I hit enter, but,
Yeah, so look through those steps. There, you have to connect your portal to your RAML document. I was
okay,
going,
okay, sorry. So I should let you finish and we'll figure it
Any
out.
questions? though?
Does it pull the IntelliSense out of its,
out of the RAML file.
Yeah. All in the RAML file.
So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead with the get here, and it asks me if I wanna add optional query parameters, or there's some other stuff in there that is not last row. That's what we got. Okay, so this invoked that API call against the mocking service, and you get to see all the headers, and looks like I have some mocking error.
Yeah, that's one of the tricks. Tell me what you just did there, because this happens a lot.
The mocking service connected to API Designer is evolving, and sometimes you have to make sure it's right, reset it, flip it off and back on, and you get a new hash endpoint.
Yeah, it basically recreates a whole new service. So you have to then re-copy the endpoint and then go through the process again. But that's just kind of where this thing is at right now. It's in, I don't know what they call it, beta or whatever, but
It's in beta, so if you have issues, we can report it there in the user group.
For example, this,
once you get it to work, it works.
It's,
Sometimes it doesn't work.
everything goes flush.
Yeah, sometimes gets caught.
general follow-up to my last question.
Yeah, please.
If this is
Yeah, go ahead.
So what you guys are doing here is basically analogous to a Windows first approach
Yep.
in this, right? But there was another direction too,
Waddle.
right?
Waddle's better, better.
Okay, well. I know you don't want to be associated with that.
Not to be
with
pejorative.
that Windows board, but you know, but really in RAML, I can see how RAML could get complicated and look like this, which is fine. I like preciseness when it comes to defining it.
Yeah,
But there was a different direction too, right?
Yeah.
There is already standard and widely used, like JAX-RS and things like JAX-D and JAXA, right? Together could be used to actually generate the RAML. Has anybody thought about that? Because to keep that in sync with your API, as your API is evolving in this, some developers may not want it.
you're absolutely right. That's a great.
That's one of the project, people are looking into
I
that.
can
So that's
totally
one of
see
the
that.
common, yeah, that's a common scenario. I already have the code, I don't want to sit there and design it. So that's one of the projects that's kind of incubated now.
I think
If
you-
you're interested, we should.
No, I'm thinking with all the annotations that are in that side of the code, in the code, there should be enough information.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like who's in charge of the database, the application developer or the database administrator, right? Like,
Sure, yeah.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Depends
problem.
on the company.
You can do either way.
Yeah.
But I love that, it's a
Yeah,
great
that's
example,
really
I'd love to see it go that next step, that would be awesome.
So the other one that looked cool was the integration of SOAP UI.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
That's
should,
it.
so you want with this as well. That is an old tool. That was around.
Still works.
That was around a long time ago.
You can run a sample, right? If you go to notebook site, you just, there's a standard.
So why don't we let people go ahead and start walking through the exercise?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay. So you saw what I was doing there, you get all those benefits of it auto filling in things. You do have to learn like what it can do. It's, I don't think it's perfectly intuitive, but it's powerful. So as soon as you learn it, you won't forget. It's not that hard to remember what worked. So I think at this point, what we had intended for you to do, and I think we're gonna run out of time for both exercises, but the first exercise is to go through this process and basically do what you just saw. Go through the process of either creating the RAML document from scratch, or you can take the code that Eric provided you and just put it up there and make it work. And then you can use the sample code that we provide you to call that mock service. And then you can use the Root notebook to also call that mock service. So that's what we wanted you to, that was the primary goal for this workshop. We did want to show you that you could also use Osprey to go and implement your own server, and it would not be running on somebody else's servers, it would be running on your own server. And so that's what Osprey is, and we provided you some of that as well. We're not gonna have time to do that though. So we'd be happy to help you and answer questions. One of the things that we're trying to get out of this is feedback as to does this approach work of teaching this concept, and then we're going to be providing some workshops around how to do this in a little bit more time to get through it all.
So here I'm demoing a cool mashup I made using this notebook, where I've actually created a client API for our mock service we just put together, and Twitter and GitHub also have defined their APIs in YAML files. And I was able to pull in clients for that and mash them together. And here, these are the three events I defined in the mock service. And I sent search requests to the Twitter API about all tweets related to those strings, and took the results of that Twitter response and pasted them into using the GitHub API. And pasted them into it, GitHub gist.
So part of the events got the hashtags for Twitter, got the tweets and then push them over into GitHub where they've been stored as a permanent file. So you can do all that from within the RAM, yeah, the notebook.
With like few lines, we can show them how it's coded.
So for me, like I've never used MuleSoft tools, but I start looking at this going, now I know what MuleSoft is doing behind the scenes. They got all this workflow functionality, and you can start seeing why they want people to use this stuff for free, start learning about their products, right? So it actually makes a lot of sense.
So here I create the client from our mock service, and I make the events call that we marked out. Then I create the client for the Twitter API. And
Which already existed. That RAML doc is already publicly available. We just had to pull it in.
there's a thing up here where you can like see all the APIs that are defined. They have them.
You can go to the portal and search for it. Most of the common APIs like Box, Twitter, everything has SAML. So if you want it used, then you can just go to the notebook and start using it and mixing it with your own API.
So I authenticated Twitter credentials and popped up authentication thing. And then I did this search. That's actually unnecessary line. This is the one that actually maps the results from. The event name. And this is looping over star1, which is the result from the first call. So this is mapping this search call to Twitter, so it makes a separate Twitter call for each result that came from the previous command. And then this is the complicated line that grabs the tweet data and the username that posted it and creates the text that I'm going to dump into a GitHub.
This is just all JavaScript, right?
It's pure JavaScript. It's in a JavaScript environment. So, and then it does the GitHub part. You authenticate, and then you paste it in and it's in a file. So this is really just to kind of test out what you're thinking. If the business logic you want to use multiple APIs from makes sense, you can kind of quickly put it together in here. Say, okay, I can actually do this. All these calls will work together. I can use this as input and that as output, and put your workflow together.
And the other thing is you can send it as a URL, so you can just send the URL to somebody who wanted to do this together. So they can just click on it and run it on the designer, so you can share assets.
So at this point, what I recommend we do is we help folks get started with a workshop. And you can start it, if you want to go through this process and set up your own RAML document and play around with consuming that, set up the RAML document, set up the mock service, and then consume it with either the sample code we gave you or the notebook. If we can achieve that today, we will have achieved a lot. And then the rest is really just trying to get that to work within Osprey, which is it's all the same capability. It's just an open source project. It's running the same, providing a lot of the same features.
So you want to do front end and designer.
Yeah, let's do all that.
So question.
Yeah.
So can I download all these tools, these 3 different tools, and install on my own server, or do I need to go
Yes.
through
Yes.
MuleSoft?
Well, you can do either one.
Okay.
So let's do a shout out to MuleSoft. You can certainly go buy their tools.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll give you like a trial and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't want to rely on having to pay something, you want to try it out knowing that, if you want to go the open source route, yeah, so Osprey is the open source version
Of this, okay.
of this functionality. And you can also download some of the other tools, but I don't really know what they are.
So it includes Notepad, API portal, and all those? Okay.
These are hosted on GitHub. The designer, the console, notebook, SOAP UI plugin is for testing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, luckily
That's
there's not as much.
That's a plugin for another free tool.
What did we get today? It's just a trial version?
No, it's all free. It's just posted.
Oh, okay.
So he was asking.
The sample code is all, I wrote it all.
I mean, the API designer login stuff.
Yeah, so then you can actually download it because it's code. It's running. It's running on MuleSoft servers, but you can download that code from.
You're looking at the hosted.
Yeah.
Does it need some kind of a backend database?
I think that's what this is, the backend.
No, to store the spec and its file system is all stored on where?
It's Amazon instances, so it's hosted on the cloud.
Now, if I install and install on my own servers, does
That's
it
right.
need a backend store?
Then you provide the backend.
Yeah, that's a good question. What is the database? Does this use a database? Does it use a
No.
database?
Store file store.
I don't think it is. Yeah,
File store?
it might just be a file store. I don't know.
There's a Ramble store project further down the page.
Yeah. Simple storage API right there. So that's, they have a product for that.
And there are some other plugins for other editors, and just sell the Sublime one.
Yeah. We don't
There's
know.
Adam. The GitHub ID, isn't it?
I was just about to ask if there are plugins for text editors when you scroll, so thank you.
Yeah, this is the one we're using, and we're really excited about that, Osprey. So, there's a lot going on here. It's, you know, it's got MuleSoft behind it, so obviously there's some energy and some power and some, customers.
So for the workshop, I kind of planned for you guys to add, just to test out, by trying to add a couple new resources to that RAML document, for sessions. Just add like, a collection resource to list sessions and a detail resource for, details of a particular session. And if we get to the back end stuff, I've got a full data for this whole event stubbed out, so you can actually test it with a front end.
Yeah. So, at this point, we certainly would like to answer any more of your questions, but at this point, I'd really like to help those of you who want to get through this, get through it. And that's, the rest of it, we got like 20 minutes or so. So, I don't know, maybe longer than that, but at least 20 minutes. So let's help you get through that. How many of you want to try it or are already trying it?
Well,
I'm there.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
Well, let's help you.
me too, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I mean, it's still pretty early stuff, and it's the first time we've gone through the workshop, so there's gonna be some errors. But, you know, Eric can help you, and Austin can spin through it once, he might be able to help you too.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, well, let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, I have, like, I just imported your exercise one, right? And in my notebook, I'm getting this. That's my name.
So, can you go back to the design? One thing you can do to test out is, in the console here, when you bring up to try it, you can use that to see.
Not sure why I do that.
This button here is actually here.
So it needs parameters.
It doesn't care, it's gonna send you back to the.
Okay,
So you're getting back the locked result.
okay, so that's good.
That's correct.
So under.
Dave,
how's it going?
Good.
ID.